Hi, this is Jundo. Welcome to Tree Leaf. And this is going to be maybe the most important talk yet. As a matter of fact, if you don't get what I'm about to say, as far as I'm concerned, you don't get Shikantaza. This is it. Listen up. You always hear me saying that we sit as if there is not one thing to change, not one thing to add, not one thing to take away from this moment of Zazen, or from any of life. It is all perfectly just what it is, nothing to change. But if you don't understand what that means, you don't understand. You see, when we truly, to the marrow, realize that there is not one thing to change, that's a great change. And when we know through and through that there is not one thing to add to make this moment more this moment, that realization is a tremendous addition to our life. But listen up. When I say there is not one thing to change, you better not think that there's nothing to change. That's a head turner, huh? When I say that things are just perfectly what they are, as they are, that doesn't mean that things are perfect as they are. Let me give you a point. Let me give you an explanation of this with a simple example. Suppose you thought you could just sit there on the Zafu and say, well, Jundo says, I am already Buddha, so I'll just sit here with the mudra, twiddling my thumbs. Na-da-da, I'm already Buddha. Na-da-da, nothing to do. You don't get it. You have to sit, realizing that this sitting is just the Buddha's sitting. There is truly nothing lacking. That's very different. Here's the example. Suppose you sat down there. It's going to be a kind of exaggerated example. And you're a guy, you just got into a fist fight with your wife or your husband. You're a drinker, you're a bank robber. You're a really angry, greedy person. Really mad inside. And you say, okay, I'm going to try this Zazen. I saw this guy on the YouTube here. I'm going to sit. And he says, I'm just perfect. All things are perfect just the way I am. So that means it's okay to beat my wife. It's okay to drink. And it's okay to rob banks. You don't get it. You see, that guy is so filled with anger and clutching and need and violence and greed because he truly does not know what it means that nothing is lacking. He's angry because something disappoints him and he gets violent about it. He doesn't know what it means nothing is lacking. He robs banks, I'm assuming not to feed his family, but because he's greedy. He doesn't know what it means that all things as they are complete. If he truly understood that, he would not have the violence, the greed within him, the hole inside that needs to be filled. Thus, when we sit, truly experiencing that this action is the one and only place to be in the universe right now, the one and only thing to do in the universe right now. As a matter of fact, it's just the universe doing this right now. When we experience that we are sitting as the Buddha sitting, as the Buddha sitting, the separation between us and the world vanishes. The anger, the greed can be no more. If you don't get the difference between thinking that, well, I'll just sit here, I'm already fine the way I am, la da da, and knowing that we are sitting here and all things are just as they are, complete, with not one thing to add, not one thing to take away, to make this life, to make this world more than the jewel, the sacred moment that this is, then you understand Shikantaza. You must see this instant as sacred, a jewel, no other place to be, no other place to go, no other place you need to go to get someplace in life, just right here. When you taste that, you truly understand Shikantaza. I'm not going to say that it's going to turn you into a saint, but we do have the precepts which guide us away from violence, away from anger, away from greed and clutching, because they all represent a need, a hole inside. Shikantaza lets us, at least for a moment, at least while we're sitting, taste that there is no hole to fill. You got the difference a little? So let's just sit here right now as the Buddhists sit.